Cannabis is the largest cash crop in California. It's going to be a benefit once it's taxed and regulated.
Marijuana leads to money, leads to greed, leads to violence.
So would legalizing marijuana eradicate that criminal violence, or possibly just make it worse? That's the question facing California.
And the number one choice is probably going to be our Purple Princess. It's our highest rated indica today. It'd be great for pain, great for sleeping.
In California, it's already perfectly legal to walk into places like the Harborside dispensary and buy an ounce of marijuana, as long as you have a note from your doctor saying you have a medical need.
You would like 2 grams of the XJTs? Here you are.
Well, now the state is proposing to go much further. In November, voters can choose whether to legalize marijuana for all personal use.
I think that a lot of Americans are opposed to the legalization of cannabis because they're afraid of what legal distribution of cannabis would look like. Some people are afraid that it would look like Mexican cartels setting up shop in their neighborhoods. And other people are afraid because they don't want to see cannabis distributed in 7-Elevens. And so what we've tried to do here is build the most positive container possible for the distribution of cannabis in order to demonstrate to our fellow citizens that we are worthy of the trust that we're asking for.
This is, as far as I know, California's first farm direct medical cannabis cooperative.
It's astonishing what is already legally allowed in parts of California. Just this month, Mendocino County has started licensing pot farms with up to 99 large plants on one plot.
These plants do take care.
This is worlds away from the Mexican drug gangs who flood over the border to grow here illegally. This is a real gourmet operation here with 25 different strains of cannabis. This one's called Purple Kush, and smoking this has a really heavy narcotic effect. These great big plants behind me are called Blue Dream, and they would leave you much more alert and clear-headed. Once the whole lot has been harvested and processed, it's packaged up like this and sold in these little jars that look pretty much like something you'd find in the local delicatessen. The red band shows each one of these plants has been inspected by a sheriff's deputy who's more used to ripping out pot plants than certifying them.
Yeah, I think Prop 215.
And growers are going legit, even though they know they won't be able to sell a legal product for nearly as much as an illicit one.
Well, I think by legalizing cannabis and the industry becoming more and more accountable and disenfranchised from the black market, I think eventually the prices will come down to what they should be, what it actually costs to manage these plants, pay your workman's comp, pay your taxes.
Paying your taxes is the point. November's referendum specifically offers to legalize, regulate and tax cannabis. And that's why even people who've never smoked a single joint say they will vote for it. Because they know California's broke. They're laying off policemen and firemen, closing schools and turning off the streetlights. A cannabis tax could help fill the financial hole.
This facility alone will provide $2 to $4 million per year in tax revenue to Oakland.
Jeff Wilcox is planning a huge indoor marijuana factory, growing over 50 pounds of pot a day, creating nearly 400 tax-paying jobs.
A winery that will be brewing cannabis wine.
Good business for him, and he says for the city of Oakland.
The city's been very supportive. It surprised me. Up and down the city, even the people that were not pro-cannabis before, when we approached this as a tax and revenue and jobs issue, the city was very supportive. So we estimate this could be $500 million, maybe $1 billion a year industry in the city of Oakland, and they could tax it accordingly.
Criminal gangs are already making billions growing illegally in Northern California, and they're not about to start paying tax on any of it. Law enforcement spend millions looking for these sites, cutting down the crops and hauling them away. Legalise marijuana, so the argument goes, all these problems will disappear. But whilst it's still against the law in the rest of America, gangsters will grow here and sell elsewhere, say the police.
On marijuana.
Who argue the problem's getting worse, not better.
The people who are in here fighting for the legalization, they're fighting for the decriminalization, they're even suggesting taxation, they're really not the people that are causing me problems. It's the unintended consequences. We have major issues here. I have issues of the Mexican cartel. I have the Russian mafia. I have Bulgarians here who think that they should have every gun in the world to protect their marijuana. It doesn't take a crystal ball to predict that the decriminalization of marijuana in a single state that's attached to 47 other different states is not going to have unintended consequences, that's going to have the violence associated.
Already you need an armed escort just to enter some parts of the huge national parks in California. Illegal marijuana cultivation is taking over large areas of the public land. This is an illegal garden that was raided just 2 weeks ago. They chopped down 1,500 plants and left them here to rot, and that's considered pretty small. But you can see how easily marijuana grows here because this one is sprouting back already. Sophisticated irrigation systems steal scarce water supplies. And criminal growers build secret camps. They live out here for months guarding their crops. And they're ruthless about keeping everyone else out.
As you saw when we came up here, we found ammunition. We found bear traps. We found, holes dug in the ground with spikes in them. Shotgun traps. Shotgun shells set on sticks, pull a fish line and it shoots. They also tie rattlesnakes up on the path.
Dangerous drug cartels flood into here from Mexico because California offers the perfect climate for growing pot. But some argue it's also the climate of acceptance that attracts these criminal gangs.
You have the risk for a lot more violence.
And that will just get worse if it's legalized.
With the Hispanic gangs and what's going on out there, it's already over the top. It's already so out of control that they've already taken over. They're already in every neighborhood in these mountains. And so we're already totally overrun.
You can't put the genie back in the bong, argue the most seasoned cannabis smokers, those who use heat guns to vaporize their pot. But people smoking their own homegrown drugs are not the problem. And the violent criminal gangs who are growing illegally nearby are not about to start buying permits or paying taxes, even if California does vote to legalize their crops. Sarah Smith, Channel 4 News, Mendocino County, California.